What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. There is some things that we have to go over. One, the situation with AMC has never been more bullish, and I think there is some pretty good proof that we are about to experience a major rally. As always, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial planner, so take all YouTube videos with a grain of salt and never base trades based off of what I say or what the next guy says. But I think by the end of this video, you are going to be in agreement with me that we are going to see a rally and that the situation has literally never been more bullish for AMC stock. So let's get into it, guys. Hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel, all of that good stuff. If you guys want totally free stock, plenty of links down in the description to do that. It's never a bad idea to have multiple different brokerages just like I do, as well as the link for the buy and sell alerts. If you guys want to be notified every time a trade is bought or sold, you guys will. That is your link to do that in the description as well. So this whole thesis of basically proof that an AMC rally is coming, it doesn't even have anything to do with the move that we are seeing today, up about 3%, which is obviously a great thing to be seeing overall. We're still under $40 at $39.43 per share, but that's not even as important. Now, the first thing that I do want to point out is that these formations of obviously the daily candlestick formations look identical to what we've seen on the last earnings report. Take a look at this. Pay attention to the line of where my line is, right? So you've seen a green candle right here on the day of earnings, and we did this time around as well, a green candle right here on earnings. We still closed up the day 4%, including the 8% move that we did see in regular trading, and then the negative 4% move we seen in after hours trading. We were still positive about 4% on the day. So follow with me, guys. Green candle, green candle. Right after that, you've seen two very red days. That's exactly what we've seen after this earnings call. Down, 11.5%, and then down about 5%, I believe. Two very red days. And then you started to see those green candles, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, going from about $28 all the way up to $38 per share, and then came back down again. And that's what we're starting to see. We're on our first green candle. So if these formations play out the same, we should at least see a couple very green days, just like we've seen back here on the last earnings. This is identical, guys. Big red candles overall, going from about $34 per share. Really, the peak out on this earnings day back here in August was $35.37 per share, fell all the way to $28 and then back up to, like I said, about $40 per share. So the formations here look identical, but AMC is a lot higher than $30 right now. We're almost at $40 per share, but there's a lot of other things to consider as well. And that's really, this whole thesis, because, history can repeat itself, but I mean, it usually rhymes, but it doesn't always repeat itself, right? That is the saying. Now, when we actually take a look at the situation here, and something to keep in mind is that the days to cover is very important, and we have no live interest updates today as it's a non-settlement day. And just briefly, what that means is the securities exchanges will be open for trading. However, it will not be a settlement day since many of the nation's banking institutions will be closed because Veterans Day. So nothing to be concerned about right there. Just wanted to clear the air for you guys. But days to cover is very, very important. Back during the last rally back in, June, a lot of financial analysts, especially on CNBC, you guys can say whatever they lean to, whatever side you guys want, but the facts are the facts. With a low days to cover, it's very easy to get out of your short positions. How can there be a short squeeze if it's easy to get out of your short positions? It would be violent, it would be very fast, but there would be no squeeze, right? Everybody could cover if they wanted to. And that would be that. And that's really when the days to cover were, at about one days to cover. Now we are 2.6 times higher than that. We are now at 2.66 days to cover. This just means that the volume is much lower. So if all shares, let's say it's still the same, the settlement day was October 29th, so it's roughly the same amount of short interest. About 95 million shares are sold short, 18.5% of the free float out on loan. It would take 2.66 days to cover all of those shorted shares because that volume is low. And why AMC is holding up at these prices and just doing this wave-like motion, really back and forth, going from lower numbers, $35 back up to $45, and then just hovering in between this range, is because apes are holding on to their shares. That's the bottom line here. Days to cover going up is incredibly bullish. Now, days to cover going up would not be good if people were not holding on to their shares, but people are holding on to their shares. That's just a fact. There is no arguing that. If you know what I've been saying in these videos, if you follow this channel, you know that apes are not selling. You cannot see 11% drop days on 25 million volume and say, hey, apes are selling. No, that is short activity that is going on. Not a lot of buying, not a lot of selling, a lot of shorting. So that's basically the scoop. Days to cover, highest level. That is incredibly bullish when you're talking about a short squeeze. Now, even financial analysts, they're less willing, I should say, to talk about the short squeeze because there's more characteristics of a short squeeze actually happening, and they have vested interest, right? People on CNBC, they're friends with the hedge funds. They don't want to call them out in their losing positions, right? So that does make a lot of sense. That is probably the biggest thing that is incredibly bullish. Low volume and a high amount of shares that need to be covered. Once you see volume come into the stock, it's basically game over for a lot of these short positions. Now, a couple other things to know is that when you're looking at market beat, when you're looking at the actual numbers of buying and selling of AMC stock, we have statistically never been more bullish in this area as well. Q3 of 2021. This is mind-blowing. This is astonishing information. Even back here in Q1 of 2021 and Q2 of 2021, this doesn't even compare to the ratio of buying to selling that we are seeing right now. $572 million worth of AMC has been bought. This is more than Q1 of 2021, about $202 million more that has been bought, but not even $2 million of AMC has been sold. And even comparative to Q1, $13 million was sold of AMC stock and only 370 million bought. So that is a substantially more bullish ratio and much more bullish than what we've seen in Q2, where $1.19 billion of AMC was bought and 409 million was sold. And this is by institutional investors. Institutional investors, sorry to break it to you, they have more information than us. They know more about things than we do. I think that's pretty well known. We know a lot, but we don't have the inside scoop of what's going on. We don't know the other hedge funds. We're probably not friends with them like, these guys are as well. So there is obviously a reason we are having such a high buy to sell ratio with AMC stock. It's very clear. We've never had this kind of ratio in the past, and we might not have this ratio for very long. If we do see a major rally, obviously some will sell, some will buy, but I think this is definitely proof that we are setting up for a big move. Hedge funds, institutions, they are not going to be buying AMC in this numbers, right? Just crazy ratios. You don't even see these kind of ratios on Apple, Amazon, Tesla. You don't see these kind of ratios. But anyways, they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't bullish for another move. Now, and the 13F filings. This is kind of along the same line as the market beat, the high ratio of buyers and low ratio of sellers. But you could see these very large positions and these very large banks. Take this right here, Goldman Sachs. This is their main portfolio, right? This portfolio is $473 billion. They are holding on to all of their AMC shares. Let it reload. You see 1,108,295 shares, as well as multiple firms issuing brand new positions. Like it's incredible. 116,000, 52,000, 20,000, 21,000, 65,000, 6,000, 43 shares. It's kind of cute. 30 shares, 224,000 shares, 46,000 shares. Like, you could go on and on and on throughout Q3, and you would see this over and over again. And the firms that are selling, $28,000 worth of AMC by Evolution Health Advisors, $6,000 worth. 363,000 worth, 60,000 worth. You guys get the idea. The firms that are selling have relatively small positions. Most of them, like almost all of them, less than $1 million. Here's one that's $1.1 million. But other than that, and that's a put position. So they sold out of their short position. Just incredible data that we are getting here on AMC. And I think overall, why we have seen these very red days, if you don't even agree with me on the chart pattern, that this is just something that happens, like we seen last earnings, 2 red days, literally the candles look almost identical, and then here's 4 green days. If you don't even agree with that, the news here supports the sell-off that we have seen after earnings. Earnings were incredible. AMC beat on all metrics of valuation, or not valuation, but revenue, income, EBITDA, all that. Even looking at a profit in Q4 of 2021, as long as the box office does do an additional $2 billion worth, where analysts, they're pretty much in line, and they think that is going to happen. But anyways, we seen Jerome Powell, somebody went to the White House to have a meeting to potentially replace him. And that has been causing a lot of fear in the overall markets with investors, because we know Jerome Powell, we have a clear guidance on tapering and when interest rates are likely to be raised. And if you get somebody else in there that's too hawkish, too dovish, you guys could understand how investors would be fearful of that. Somebody came in tomorrow and said, yeah, we need to raise rates right away. The markets are going to freak out. If people say that we shouldn't raise rates until 2025, the markets are going to freak out. There's a fine line you have to walk. That's part of the reason why AMC did fall 11.5% the day after earnings, because that happened the same day. AMC was an easy target, as well as this whole Evergrande defaulting situation. We still have the debt ceiling that is around the corner. You're not seeing that reflected in the markets at the current time. But even yesterday, guys, the bond rates shot up the most they have shot up since March of 2020, because there was a bond auction and nobody showed up to buy the bonds. So bonds have a indirect relationship. So basically, bond yields, like the price you get paid for owning a bond, and the price of that bond, it's like owning a dividend stock, right? If the bond is cheaper, you get paid more because it's a fixed rate. People didn't show up. People didn't buy the bonds. So essentially, they have to drop the prices and the yields shoot up. And then that just makes bonds more attractive. It makes, basically discounting inflation in there. It doesn't make sense to be buying bonds. It doesn't make sense to be buying, high future revenue companies like our tech stocks, because if inflation is 6% for the next couple of years, those earnings are going to be pretty worthless by the time they're projecting to have, say, $1 billion of revenue or whatever the number is. Hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say there. That's kind of how it works in a nutshell. So there's a lot of just negative things that are going on right now. So the situation with AMC is not because AMC's earnings were bad or people are bearish on the stock or even people are selling the stock. It's due to the overall market. So hopefully this provides you guys some context and why I'm saying there is proof that a rally is incoming, or just a decent size move in general. Hopefully it makes some sense to you guys. If you guys don't agree with me, let me know in the comment section. That is why we are here, to source information. Hit that like button for me. Consider subscribing to the channel, as well as, like I said, check out the links for free stocks and the links for the buy and sell alerts. That is going to do it for this video. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.